The girl almost took out an entire arsenal while going through security check. However, what's even more shocking is that the security inspector found a severed hand in her bag.
Yeah, that's not the problem. You care to explain this?
They ignored a severed hand and only noticed the sunscreen. Wednesday, the all-time most-watched show on Netflix in 2025, is finally back. This time, it kicks off with the one-eyed crow murder case right away. What's more, the Hyde monster has escaped from the asylum. Watch how Wednesday solves the unsolved case and turns the tide. We'll start right away. Wednesday Addams is having a rare summer vacation. She uses the vacation to hone her psychic abilities and focuses on the hobby. While other girls are obsessed with playing with dolls, Wednesday loves to immerse herself in studying murderers. Among them, the most fascinating one is the Kansas City Skinner, America's most elusive serial killer. Recently, the 11th victim of the Skinner dropped her most cherished toy ball when she was abducted. With this ball, Wednesday used her psychic abilities to target the Skinner's location, so she rushed to the airport, preparing to fly to Kansas City. The security inspector didn't bat an eyelid when he saw her take a fake hand out of her bag, but when she pulled out sunscreen over 100 milliliters, he treated it as a major threat. Finally, Wednesday still successfully arrived at her destination. During her previous psychic vision, she had seen the killer's car. It was a van with Chet's dog grooming written on it. She used this clue to find the Skinner. Before she could even pull out her taser, she was caught by him. Wednesday was locked in the basement by the Skinner. This pervert makes a doll modeled after the victim every time he harms a child. Unfortunately, the Skinner underestimated Wednesday. Thing helped its owner launch a surprise attack. Wednesday took the opportunity to untie the ropes on her. She picked up the boning knife on the cart.
Let's play dolls.
Finally, the news that the Skinner was skinned dominated the front pages for several days. Thing reminded Wednesday to be careful, because she shed black tears when she encountered the killer. This situation isn't explained in the spellbook. Wednesday just regarded it as a minor malfunction, and didn't pay much attention to it. Her summer vacation is over, and she must return to school today. Before the summer vacation, her younger brother Pugsley also awakened his ability. Like Uncle Fester, he can release lightning from his fingers. The family made a bet on whether Pugsley could hit the road sign. The latter lived up to expectations and knocked down the sign, but the collapsed road sign disrupted traffic, causing a car accident involving two vehicles. Unfortunately, this executioner family will not feel guilty. At the same time, near Nevermore Academy, a bald man was taking candid photos of an affectionate couple in the distance. He looked like a detective specifically hired to catch someone in an affair. While he was focused on taking photos, several crows landed on the tree, and soon rushed towards the bald man. He quickly hid in the car.
They're on to me. If I don't make it, the evidence is safe at the bullpen.
As soon as the words were spoken, the uncle saw crows gathering in the back seat. A scream pierced the sky. Wednesday had already arrived at the academy. Her mother told her to take good care of her younger brother.
I always do.
Wednesday had become a star at Nevermore. After defeating the Pilgrim Demon last semester, everyone was whispering about her. Some girls even came over to ask for her autograph. Buried, the new principal, also came over to greet her specifically. He planned to revive the founding bonfire celebration, and invited Wednesday to be an honor student. Wednesday declined. She would rather be tied to a stake and burned to death than be an honor student. When Wednesday returned to her dormitory, she found it packed with people. Enid drove them all out. The two exchanged gifts and shared their summer vacation news. Enid had been avoiding Ajax lately, wanting to find a chance to break up with him. A crossbow bolt nailed into the wall. It read, "Welcome back, Wednesday. I'm still watching you." She picked up the paper and used her psychic powers, but couldn't see the stalker's shadow, and black tears flowed from her eyes again. Mr. and Mrs. Addams were showing Pugsley around the dormitory he was about to move into. Pugsley's future roommate is named Eugene. His ability is to control various insects. He didn't want to be roommates with Pugsley, but because he owed Wednesday a favor, he had to agree. Principal Dot intended to win over the Addams family. He also invited her mother Morticia to be the chair of the fundraising gala committee. The chair for the past 3 years had been Vincent Thorpe, but after Xavier was wrongfully accused of murder, he had his son transfer schools and withdrew his donations to the school. To show his sincerity, the principal let Morticia stay temporarily in the gardener's cottage, to think about whether to accept the offer. Morticia noticed that Wednesday had been acting strangely lately, so she agreed to stay temporarily in the gardener's cottage. Thing couldn't figure out why Wednesday didn't tell her mother about the black tears. The two walked to the back of the school, and saw a crowd of police officers gathered not far away. On a Stretcher lay a bald man whose eyes had been pecked out by crows. His name was Carl Bradbury, a local private detective. The callers were Greg and Debbie, the couple who had been photographed secretly. Greg was the manager of the piglet store, Debbie was his cashier. The body was clearly attacked by crows, so Sheriff Santiago had no intention of investigating further. Just then, Wednesday caught a glimpse of a suspicious figure. She quickly chased after him, only to find that it was Galpin, who was the father of Tyler, the male lead in the first season. Galpin was friends with the victim Carl. He explained that Carl had accidentally discovered something while working as a private detective, which was why he was attacked by outliers. Galpin was determined to find the truth. He also told Wednesday that if she was interested, she could investigate with him.
Just remember, the birds are always watching.
Late at night, Ajax was telling everyone the story of the skull tree, because telling this story on the first night of school is a tradition of Caliban dormitory. Once upon a time, there was a clever boy. He had a fragile heart, so he was bedridden all day, conceiving wonderful machines he wanted to create in the future. The doctors suddenly said he only had a few months to live, so the boy decided to design a mechanical heart to make his body keep up with his extraordinary mind. The operation was a great success, but the wind-up heart changed the boy, making him indifferent. He also enrolled in Nevermore Academy. The boy quickly became the smartest person in the entire school's history. The inventions he developed became more and more dangerous. Finally, one day his genius cost him his life. It is said that the boy's body was buried under the skull tree. If you press your ear against the hollow left eye of the skull, you can still hear his wind-up heart ticking. Only the bravest people in Caliban dormitory dare to venture out at night to listen to the ticking of the wind-up heart. At the same time, the principal called Bianca to his office, hoping she would be the student liaison for the fundraising gala. Bianca only wanted to focus on her studies, so she declined. The principal actually threatened her, saying that Bianca was a scholarship student. If the school falls into financial difficulties and fails to reach the fundraising target, it will have to let some scholarship students leave. Bianca certainly understood his implication. She had to agree to the principal. Wednesday returned to the dormitory, and found the room crowded again with Enid's werewolf friends. Thing was also surrounded, joining in the fun. Wednesday hated the environment with so many people, so she went to the music classroom to play the violin. Unexpectedly, the sound of the violin attracted the new head of the music department, Ms. Capri. Wednesday had heard a lot about this teacher and knew she was a musical genius, but Wednesday had no intention of asking Ms. Capri for advice. She played purely to vent her emotions. When Wednesday returned to the dormitory, she learned that Xavier had sent a letter, enclosed with a portrait of crows. This image often flashed through Xavier's mind, so he drew it and gave it to Wednesday, as a farewell gift after transferring schools. Xavier's paintings have always predicted the future. Just then, Wednesday found that someone had taken the first draft of her novel. Only a piece of paper was left in the drawer.
Higher, 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 I am demon of the fire, and each blazing roof's my pyre. My stalker is going to burn my manuscript at the founder's pyre.
Wednesday didn't leave any copies. She wouldn't allow 2 years of hard work to go up in smoke, so she called Enid and headed to the bonfire party to look for suspicious figures. At this moment, several students passed Wednesday by. She felt a pain in her palm, and pulled out a piece of paper with a blade attached to it from her pocket. If you don't want your novel to go up in smoke, meet me under the bonfire. Wednesday directly moved the bonfire wood pile aside and crawled in. Enid, fearing she might get into trouble, hurried after her and told Wednesday to get out quickly, because the bonfire could be lit at any moment. Meanwhile, the principal was announcing the abolition of nightshade in all secret societies, to protect the school and outliers together. After speaking, he waved his hand and lit the bonfire. An eagle made of vines slowly spread its wings and flew around the party venue. Enid hurried to find the principal to put out the fire. However, Wednesday had already found the manuscript, and crawled out before the vines collapsed. The principal saw her coming and yanked off the portrait on the stage. It depicted scenes of several honor students saving the school. It made Wednesday want to gouge out her own eyes. She rushed onto the stage, lit the portrait, and refused to be a representative or leader of any group. People in the square were all drawn to Wednesday. No one noticed that Pugsley came to the skull tree, preparing to dig up the child from the legend. As soon as he got close to the skull's eye, he was knocked down by crows flying out of it. Pugsley's electric shock ability was accidentally activated. It was unclear whether the electricity had activated the dead child's mechanical heart. He actually crawled out from underground. Pugsley wore an excited smile. At the same time, Enid caught up with Wednesday. As soon as they made contact, their psychic abilities were instantly activated. Wednesday saw a crow perched on a tombstone.
I die because of you!
When she woke up again, she found herself lying beside her mother. Now, the matter of the black tears could no longer be hidden. Morticia pointed out that these tears mean your psychic abilities are about to be exhausted. Before a new guide appears to guide you, it's best to hand over Goody's spell book to me for safekeeping. Wednesday refused to agree. She still needed that book to assist in the investigation. Now, Galpin's warning, Xavier's painting, and the earlier vision of Enid's death are all related to a one-eyed crow. Wednesday planned to go talk to Galpin, but he died strangely, with both eyes pecked out by crows. Wednesday lowered her head to observe his open mouth. A large flock of crows flew out of his mouth. These strange birds broke through the glass and flew out the window. One of them, just like in Xavier's painting, had only one eye. Wednesday wanted to find clues through her psychic abilities, but after she touched Galpin, she couldn't see any images. At this moment, the sound of sirens rang out outside. Wednesday was about to slip away but was caught by the sheriff. The sheriff suddenly visited, because he found that the detective named Carl had called Galpin before his death, so he came to search for Galpin's phone. Unfortunately, they found nothing. The sheriff had intended to interrogate Wednesday. Mr. Adams quickly bailed his daughter out of the police station. In his capacity as a lawyer, the next day, Eugene went to the Hummerbee Club's cabin to take care of his insects, but he accidentally stumbled upon Pugsley's secret. Pugsley not only dug up the mechanical-hearted boy, but also helped bring him back to life. Pugsley wanted to keep him as his pet. Hearing this, Eugene tentatively held out a jar of honey. Unexpectedly, the other party really liked it.
See? He likes it.
I think I'm gonna call him Slurp.
Wednesday returned to the dormitory. She found an eyeball on her pillow, and recognized it as Galpin's blue eye. Just then, Enid received 3 messages, all from Wednesday's stalker. Presumably, because she doesn't use a phone, the stalker had to send them to Enid instead. Wednesday immediately called back. Unexpectedly, the voice message indicated that this was Galpin's phone. It must have been taken by his killer. It was only then that Enid realized Galpin was dead. She didn't want to get involved in a messy murder case less than a week into the semester, so she packed her things and headed to class. Enid planned to get her driver's license this semester. Today is the annual prank day. The kids at the academy were playing around like crazy. Only Ajax was staring at Enid with a werewolf hunk named Aruno. Flames of jealousy burned fiercely in his heart. His friend Eugene couldn't stand it, and handed him a jar of flying bloodsuckers, intentionally to get back at Aruno. Ajax was happy for less than 2 minutes before falling victim to a classmate's prank. Professor Orloff watched the playful students, and grew more and more annoyed with prank day. After all, last year some students put eels in his water tank. Wednesday stopped him and told the principal she was doing research on birds, so she wanted to know if there were any outcasts at the academy who could control birds. Orloff said this ability was uncommon. The school hadn't had any avian students in 10 years. Wednesday had to switch to another approach to continue her investigation. She planned to visit Tyler, who was locked up in the asylum, but the distance was far, so she needed transportation. Wednesday took Enid's driver's ed permission slip, and instructed Thing to stay in the dorm to protect the spell book and Enid. Hurried footsteps were already heard outside the door. It was Enid, who had forgotten her permission slip and come back. She searched for a long time but couldn't find it, and was about to leave when she ran into Mrs. Morticia. She had come to take the spell book. Thing, remembering Wednesday's instructions, refused to give in. Morticia was about to resort to emotional appeals, but Thing pointed out that the two of them treated him like a servant. It wouldn't betray Wednesday. Morticia was about to refute but remembered the bits and pieces from before. They had made Thing pour wine and hold golf balls, among other things. For once, Morticia had no words to defend herself. At the same time, Wednesday found the driving instructor and, posing as Enid, successfully got into the driver's seat. However, the passenger seat also had a brake, installed to prevent students from misbehaving. As the instructor spoke, he glanced in the rearview mirror and saw a strange figure. It turned out to be Pugsley's pet that had broken free from its chains, but the instructor couldn't have imagined a student would keep a dead person as a pet. He just thought the figure was a prank day creation. In the moment of distraction, Wednesday cut the brake line on the passenger side. Now she could finally use the car as she pleased. Wednesday drove to Willow Hill Asylum. The director let her in immediately upon hearing she had arrived, but he had to state that to get visitation rights, she first needed permission from Dr. Fairburn. She is our chief physician and a pioneer in outcast mental health. Dr. Fairburn happened to arrive at the office. Unexpectedly, she approved Wednesday's visit, and believed she would be the key to unlocking Tyler's recovery. After all, Wednesday had a significant relationship with Tyler before. The two had almost become a couple. Wednesday passed through layers of security doors and saw Tyler tied to the wall. Let's briefly recap this important character here. Tyler is the son of Sheriff Galpin and an outcast. He harbors the gene of the mutated creature Hyde. He was manipulated by plant teacher Marilyn into awakening his Hyde nature and killing many people. Thus, he was locked up in the asylum. Wednesday was too lazy to exchange pleasantries with Tyler, she told him. About Galpin and Carl's deaths, wanting to know if Tyler had any relevant clues, Tyler refused to reveal anything. Wednesday simply left.
Say hi to Enid for me. Tell her I'm gonna kill her the next time I see her.
Wednesday wouldn't allow anyone to joke about Enid's life.
Thornhill chose you to be her murderous marionette, not just because she saw some Hyde hibernating inside of you, but because she saw the real you. An expendable nobody. A feeble-minded schoolyard bully. Your fleeting moment of notoriety will fade quicker than your generic looks.
Wednesday's words cut to the quick, enraging Tyler so much that he almost lost control. At the same time, Enid, whose driver's ed class had fallen through, took Aruno back to the dormitory. They saw a package addressed to Thing on the floor. Enid, worried it was from the stalker again, opened it only to find it was a birthday card. It was sent by Fester to wish Thing a happy birthday. However, the entire Addams family had forgotten this important day. Hearing this, Enid felt sorry for him and planned to take Thing out to celebrate. Aruno suddenly collapsed to the ground. Enid rushed over to check on him. Thing, who had wanted to follow, was locked in the cabinet, unable to know what was happening outside. The principal told Bianca to hand the donation list to Morticia, and implied that she should get in touch with her mother Hester, because Morticia's mother was extremely wealthy. The school badly needed this big fish to sponsor it. However, Morticia had a cold relationship with her mother, and refused to even make a phone call. Bianca didn't want to push, but the principal forced her to use the siren song on Morticia, to make her contact Hester. Hearing this, Bianca finally got angry and was about to use the siren song on the principal. He had a Corinthian coral artifact on him that made him immune to the siren song. Bianca couldn't outsmart this old fox and had to obey. A few minutes later, Wednesday returned to the dormitory, which was empty. She only saw Enid's bag lying on the floor. She opened the box and asked Thing, only to learn that something had happened to Enid. Immediately after, the phone in the bag rang, and the person on the other end said the game had just begun. You have 30 minutes to find your werewolf friend. Otherwise I'll kill her. The next second, a card slid under the door. Wednesday quickly opened the door to check but didn't see a single figure. As for the card, it only had the words "Play Dead" written on it. When Enid woke up, she found herself tied up with Aruno. Judging from the surroundings, this place should be Iago Tower. A few years ago, due to damage caused by a strange thunderstorm, the school blocked it off. Enid had thought it was Ajax's prank, but countless sharp swords hung above their heads. The two realized it wasn't that simple. Someone wanted their lives. Meanwhile, Wednesday was searching everywhere for Enid, and ran into the music teacher on the way. She asked Wednesday to join the school orchestra. Although Wednesday had no interest in performing, she suddenly realized that the letters on the card represented musical notes. The heart symbol on the back represented the pipe organ. She played the keys according to the words and indeed opened a hidden door. Inside was a deep tunnel, and as the lights flickered, a figure flashed by. An unfamiliar mask appeared on the ground, with the words "Time waits for no one" written on it. Wednesday recognized that the end of the tunnel led to Iago Tower. When she arrived at the scene by elevator, Enid was kissing Aruno passionately. These two really had nerves of steel. Wednesday quickly told Thing to go pick the lock, but he accidentally triggered a mechanism. Several sharp weapons fell down, almost cutting Thing in half. The sword targets above were also closing in on Enid. Wednesday found that this mechanism was connected to a typewriter, with a clue left by the killer. What don't you see? Wednesday looked around at the piles of books, which included works by Poe, Dante, Shelley, and Dickens. Each pile was made up of works by famous authors. The answer must be some missing book. As the sharp sword was about to stab Enid, Wednesday found the answer. It turned out that the pile of H.E.G. Wells books was missing the Invisible Man. Arrow targets rose back into the air. The mastermind finally showed up.
Happy prank day, Wednesday. My crazed stalker is an invisible 13-year-old.
This girl was the fan who asked for an autograph earlier. Her name is Agnes DeMille, and she's Wednesday's #1 fan. Agnes staged this whole thing just to get her idol's attention. She had nothing to do with Galpin's death or that eyeball, but Agnes did get Galpin's phone. She gave this important piece of evidence to her idol, and offered to help her find out the truth. Come to me anytime you need. After Wednesday returned to the dormitory, she apologized to Thing for forgetting his birthday, and gave him an ancient thumbscrew torture device. As an apology, this item is a product of the Napoleonic era, designed by Anatole Debler, but after accepting the gift, Thing felt a little guilty, because Goody's spellbook had been taken by Morticia. As the conversation went on, Bianca knocked on the door of the gardener's cottage. he used siren magic to hypnotize Morticia, making her convince her mother to donate. At the same time, the driving instructor hit a slitherer on his way home. He quickly got out of the car to check, and ended up as the slitherer's meal. The monster, well-fed and satisfied, returned to the wooden house to continue being Pugsley's pet, but Eugene soon noticed that the slitherer's head wound seemed to be healing. Its brain was also regrowing. He couldn't help but marvel at the wonder of God's creation. The slitherer had been supplementing its diet in private, hence the miraculous transformation in its body. What's more, after tasting a human brain once, this creature fell in love with that flavor. If Pugsley hadn't stopped it in time, it would have almost given in to the urge to bite Eugene. Eugene felt this thing was too dangerous. The school is organizing an outdoor camping trip soon. We can't leave it here alone. Pugsley said not to worry, as he had already made arrangements. The scene shifts back to the garden cottage. The Adamses knew that today was Thing's birthday, and used their connections to hire the best limb massager to do a set of meticulous care for Thing. Speaking of which, Morticia couldn't help but feel remorseful. She had indeed neglected family members lately, being busy with the fundraising gala last night to raise funds. She even had the thought of calling her mother, which was really unthinkable. Adams knew his wife didn't get along with her mother-in-law, so he specially invited Morticia to dance to cheer her up. It was at this moment that Wednesday slipped into the garden cottage, intending to steal the spell book her mother had hidden in the cabinet. Unfortunately, Morticia had extraordinary hearing and quickly noticed her daughter's movements. Wednesday couldn't do without this book, so she decided to tell her mother. In her recent vision, she discovered that Enid's death was caused by herself. A one-eyed crow also appeared in the dream. Galpin and his friend were both killed by this kind of bird today. Wednesday must find the killer before he targets Enid, so she needs the help of the spellbook. Unexpectedly, after hearing this, Morticia became more determined not to give the book to her daughter, because the spellbook provides Wednesday with too many shortcuts, which will inevitably lead her down a dangerous path full of pain. Wednesday's current impatience reminded Morticia of her sister Ophelia, the witch who successfully drove herself insane. Morticia couldn't bear to see her daughter repeat the same mistake. For now, Wednesday couldn't rely on supernatural abilities, and had to solve the case. Using the most traditional methods, she turned to study Galpin's phone, and discussed with Thing how to protect Enid. Unexpectedly, their entire conversation was heard by Agnes, who could turn invisible. Wednesday ordered her to keep what just happened a secret, and under no circumstances let Enid know that she died in Wednesday's vision, otherwise, she would definitely be too scared to eat or sleep. After giving the warning, Wednesday went to attend Galpin's funeral. Only the sheriff and Dr. Fairburn were present. The former came because the police station required an official to attend, while the latter came at Tyler's request to confirm if Galpin was really dead. Plus Wednesday, there were 3 mourners in total. Galpin had really hit rock bottom. From Wednesday's questioning, it was learned that Galpin had only visited Willow Hill once, and within seconds, he had forced Tyler to transform. He almost tore apart the titanium alloy railings of the cell, and it took 5 minutes of being attacked by the electric collar to barely return to human form. This was enough to show Galpin's influence on Tyler. While the two were talking, that one-eyed crow was perched on a nearby tombstone. Although Wednesday didn't want to accept Agnes's help, this girl knew how to unlock Galpin's phone. It turned out that one of Agnes's friends was an outcast with shape-shifting abilities, who could transform into Galpin's appearance to unlock the facial recognition. Before the police could search, Agnes had also taken as many things as possible from Galpin's house. Wednesday accepted the box, chased her away, and then opened the voice message sent by Carl.
They're on to me. I don't make it. The evidence is safe with the bullpen.
What on earth does this forest cabin refer to? Wednesday opened the box given by Agnes and found a photo of a cabin. On the back, there was also an address written, 2015, Pine Ridge Road. The cabin is near Jericho. By a coincidence, it was exactly at the location chosen for the off-campus camping trip. The scene shifts to Apple Valley Inn. Bianca took the key to room 302 and hypnotized the front desk clerk. This guest must not be disturbed. I have never been here. Bianca's mother is staying in room 302. She seems to be hiding from someone named Gideon.
We both know the only reason he married me was to help him recruit people so that he could steal their money.
Bianca comforted her mother, telling her to lie low for a few days. I've already had the FBI take action. Once Gideon is detained, we'll be free. The next day, the principal blew the assembly call and told everyone to take the bus together. However, the music teacher looked extremely nervous, because this camping trip is during the full moon, and there are so many werewolf members in the school. Enid didn't feel worried though, and was very happy when she saw Wednesday. She had thought Wednesday wouldn't participate in this activity. What upset Enid, though, was that the creepy Agnes kept following Wednesday around. because this girl is really capable. With her help, Wednesday can save a lot of time. Soon, the school bus arrived at Jericho camp. Wednesday found that her weird brother had actually dragged a coffin to the camping trip. Needless to say, it must contain the Slitherer, but Pugsley wouldn't tell the truth to his sister. Wednesday was about to ask when she saw a familiar car. Their parents had actually come to this camping trip too, saying that the school was looking for parent chaperones, so the Addams couple came to join in the fun. Wednesday was still angry with her mother about the spellbook, and they were in a Cold War. The principal quickly gathered everyone to give a speech, saying that no cell phones were allowed on this camping trip. There would be no normal people within a few kilometers either. They could enjoy to their heart's content a vacation for outliers. As soon as he finished speaking, a man claiming to be an instructor from Phoenix Academy came over, saying he had booked this camp 6 months ago, so the people from Nevermore must leave. Upon hearing this, the principal also took out a contract, saying he had also booked the place. Jericho camp is run by a father and son. Presumably, they messed up the bookings, resulting in the double booking of the two groups. Now both sides refused to back down and leave the camp. In the end, Wednesday stepped forward and proposed, "How about we have a contest? Winner stays, loser leaves." Both sides quickly specified the contest details and rules. Each team can consist of at most 10 people, divided into a defense team and an attack team. The defense team will hold the other team's token, while the attack team can regain the token by any means. Once a team regains their own token, they can fire a flare and then sprint to the finish line, cross Sedgwick Falls and return to the watchtower. The first team to place their token on top of the tower wins. Both sides quickly formed their ideal teams, to level the playing field for the human team. The instructor specially prepared several boxes of military supplies for his students. After all, humans have no superpowers and need to rely on external objects. At this moment, the human defense team was wearing headphones to protect the token, which could block the siren's morning song control. On the other side, the outlier defense team was in charge of Ajax and his companions. Two enemy players hiding in the dark shot an arrow at Ajax's knit hat. His Medusa hair took effect immediately, instantly petrifying his own teammates. The human boys took the opportunity to cover Ajax with a sack. They took the outlier token and fired a flare. Once the green flare was launched, everyone knew the humans had taken the lead. Wednesday ordered the two young werewolves, Enid and Aruno, to go first. The human defense team immediately released tear gas. Wednesday sent in air support. Eugene controlled the wasps to attack the enemies. The enemy, as expected, were routed. Wednesday walked into the gas fumes and retrieved the token. Bianca immediately fired a purple flare. Now, human Captain Billy and outlier Captain Wednesday, with their respective tokens, headed for the finish line. Although Billy reached the base of the tower first, Wednesday ran to the opposite hill. She fired a grappling hook, secured it directly to the tower, kicked Billy aside, and claimed victory. After getting rid of these obstructive humans, Wednesday unfolded the map to confirm the location of Galpin's cabin. It was about 4 kilometers east of the camp. If they set off now, they could rush back as soon as possible before everyone noticed. As for the Phoenix Academy side, they didn't easily accept their defeat. They were planning to retake the camp tonight. While the bonfire party was taking place, Wednesday found the forest cabin in the photo, and discovered a mechanism behind the mirror. It was covered with obituaries of outliers. They were all patients from Willow Hill Asylum. The earliest dated back to death news from 15 years ago. At the top of these clippings, Louise was written in red ink, seemingly implying that this person was targeting outliers. Unfortunately, Wednesday's psychic abilities hadn't recovered yet. She had to retrieve Goody's spellbook first. Outside the window, that one-eyed crow was staring at Wednesday's movements. The scene shifts back to the camp. The principal was still persuading Morticia to invite Hester to the school. As for Ajax, he finally mustered the courage to stop Enid. He couldn't figure out what he had done wrong, that Enid wouldn't even say goodbye, and instead hit it off with that Aruno right away. Enid explained that now that she had integrated into werewolf life, she was no longer the insecure girl she used to be, so her feelings and pursuits were changing too.
You never gave me a heads up. I wish we could have just talked about it before you moved on without me.
I'm really sorry.
The human scouts hiding in the dark crawled out of the haystacks, and expressed sympathy for Ajax's misfortune. But this didn't stop them from trying to retake the camp. Actually, Billy thought accepting defeat when you lose a bet is what a true man does, so he didn't want to destroy the outcasts' camp. However, the instructor couldn't accept defeat, and insisted they launch a sneak attack. Just as this group was preparing to block off the perimeter of the tents, Wednesday challenged her mother to a blindfolded duel, intending to reclaim her spellbook. Blindfolded duels are an ancient tradition of the Addams family. The two pulled out the sharp swords from the case, revealing two specially made heart pins inside. The mother and daughter each chose one and pinned it to their lapels. Whoever first pierces the other's glass heart wins. Whoever wins has the right to dispose of the spellbook. The two blindfolded themselves and began the duel.
You're getting rusty, Mother. I can practically hear you creak.
Just as the mother and daughter were engaged in a fierce fight, the instructor from Phoenix Academy led the charge into the camp, accidentally triggering the fireworks set by Pugsley, and plunged headfirst into his tent. The Slitherer wouldn't let this delivered delicacy go, and bit into the instructor's brain. Pugsley and Eugene, after seeing the fireworks, hurried back to the tent. The instructor's body lay on the ground, but the Slitherer was nowhere to be seen. Just as the two didn't know what to do, Agnes suddenly deactivated her invisibility and appeared. She intended to help Wednesday handle these low-priority tasks, to prove her worth to her idol, so the three of them immediately went out to look for the Slitherer. Little did they know that the creature, carrying an axe, had walked to where Father Addams was bathing. Father was holding a solo concert in the bathroom, and didn't hear the sound of the axe chopping. The Slitherer had already stuck its head in and stuck out its long tongue. Addams suddenly bent down to pick up the soap and dodged the attack. Immediately after, Pugsley arrived just in time and electrocuted the Slitherer away. After this move, both father and son were stunned. Pugsley also didn't know he had such great power. Now the existence of the Slitherer was exposed to everyone, he, holding the axe, straight into the dueling arena of Wednesday and her mother. At this moment, their duel had reached a fever pitch. In the end, Morticia, having the upper hand, smashed Wednesday's glass heart pin. The latter took off her blindfold and threw a sword, piercing straight through the Slitherer's forehead. Because of the instructor's accidental death, the police soon arrived at the camp and took the Slitherer to prison. Pugsley grieved over the loss of his pet. Wednesday also lost Goody's spell book. In an unnoticed corner, a new inmate was locked up in Willow Hill Asylum. This person was Marilyn, the plant teacher who controlled Tyler. Dr. Fairburn took her to visit Tyler. The latter, as soon as he saw Marilyn, immediately transformed into his monster form, and grabbed her by the throat. Marilyn was not only unafraid but also had an undisguisable excitement. Truly lives up to being a big pervert. The scene shifts to Wednesday arriving at Willow Hill Columbarium to find the deceased mentioned in the obituaries. Grandmother Hester came after receiving her message. Wednesday wanted to use her abilities to investigate, but grandmother told her to smell the ashes. There were smells of deer, squirrels, and raccoons in them, but not a trace of the smell belonging to humans. In other words, these ashes were fake. The next second, a crow flew over and carried away the obituary booklet Wednesday had brought. She chased after it hard and found the crow following a mysterious person and quickly leaving. Wednesday could only ask her grandmother to buy this piece of cemetery land, to find out who approved those cremations. This way of investigating cases is truly outrageously wealthy. To save her friend, Wednesday ran around everywhere, unaware. Enid was busy making out with her new boyfriend. At this moment, the violin bow in the corner fell to the ground. Wednesday realized Agnes was also there.
How long have you been here?
Somewhere between... I'm definitely scarred.
Agnes came to deliver a letter for Wednesday. Judging from the postmark, it seems to be from a publisher, because Wednesday refused to accept the editor's revision suggestions, so the publishing house terminated the cooperation. Unfortunately, Wednesday has no time to deal with the publication of her novel. She called her uncle over and asked him to find a way to break into Willow Hill Asylum. Uncle Fester not only exclaimed that the last time he went to that place was to visit your Aunt Ophelia. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly released lightning. It turned out that Agnes was hiding nearby. She brought a detailed map of Willow Hill. Wednesday handed it to her uncle, and instructed him to look for someone named Louise. She could be a patient or a doctor. Fester told his niece not to worry, as no one knows asylums better than him, because Fester was abandoned by his parents in a mental institution when he was 10 years old.
What you see, Fester?
Death.
Death? Still death.
Wednesday said goodbye to her uncle, and went to ask her mother why Ophelia was sent to Willow Hill. The latter confessed that in her sophomore year of high school, just like you, she overused her psychic abilities, shed black tears, lost mental control, and was sent to Willow Hill by Hester. As soon as the words were spoken, grandmother appeared with the land deed, and whispered to Wednesday, the person who approved the cremation is named Augustus. Besides that, Hester agreed to donate to the school, but on the condition that Morticia must return the spell book to Wednesday, the latter picked up the book and threw it into the fireplace to burn. On the other side, Fester went to Apple Valley Inn to rent a room, deliberately attracted the clerk's attention with a very suspicious attitude, to take the opportunity to enter the asylum. Sure enough, on the day Fester checked in, the clerk couldn't help but call the police. Finally, the police found 18 passports and 33 driver's licenses in Fester's room, and also found out that he had robbed a bank. After witnessing this weirdo eat the cactus on the table, the sheriff contacted Dr. Fairburn to conduct a mental evaluation on Fester. In addition, this unexpected search also led the police to discover Bianca's mother. This woman has no check-in record and no ID card, so she was taken back to the police station for interrogation. After receiving her mother's distress text, Bianca wanted to go to the police station to bail her out, but the principal ordered her not to leave without permission until she finished her work, and also sent Orloff to supervise her nearby, because this professor's head is hidden in a jar, so the siren's ability has no effect on him. Upon hearing that Bianca's mother was in trouble, Ajax simply stepped in to help, petrifying the professor to buy Bianca time. After arriving at the police station, Bianca immediately used her siren magic.
You will drop this investigation, shred any paperwork, and forget you ever met my mother.
Ajax took them to the old classroom. Planning to hide Bianca's mother there, they heard the principal, who was hiding in this remote place, talking to someone on the phone. At this moment, Ajax's phone suddenly rang. The principal became aware of it. The three of them hurriedly hid in the dark. Meanwhile, Fairburn's assessment result also came out. In her years of practice, she has seen many mentally ill people, but it was the first time she had seen someone as neurotic as Fester, so she immediately gave the green light to admit him to Willow Hill. Fester was enjoying life in the hospital while looking for Louise. He fell in love at first sight with a suspected target. Fester followed the person to the back kitchen.
Lois? Oh, your name's Louise.
Let's go back to Wednesday's side. According to Agnes' investigation, that Augustus used to be a psychologist at Willow Hill Asylum. Before that, he also taught science at Nevermore. Unfortunately, later it's unknown what happened. Augustus actually lost his mind and was also locked up in Willow Hill. Wednesday immediately asked Thing to help pass a message, telling Uncle to keep an eye on Augustus again. This person may be the key to helping us find Louise. Enid saw that Wednesday had been always with Agnes lately, and couldn't help feeling a little jealous. She was about to have a good talk with Wednesday. Unexpectedly, a large group of crows suddenly pounced over. Among them, the one-eyed crow even took advantage of the chaos to carry off Thing. Thanks to the principal's timely action of hitting the crow, only then did Thing fall from mid-air and grab the statue. However, that stone statue was not strong enough. In the critical moment, Enid rushed over and caught Thing. Wednesday caught a glimpse of the cloaked figure upstairs, hurriedly rushed up, and chased him into a secret passage. The man in black quickly disappeared, leaving only a cloak behind. She walked into the classroom ahead and saw Dr. Fairburn. Wednesday suspected that she was the cloaked figure, but Dr. Fairburn explained that she came to the school because the music teacher agreed to teach at Willow Hill. As soon as she finished speaking, the music teacher came over carrying a tea tray. Wednesday noticed that she was a little out of breath, and looked like she had just finished exercising. Moreover, there were also a few birds kept in the music classroom. Could this music teacher be the cloaked figure who controls birds? Wednesday changed her mind and agreed to join the orchestra. Later, Fairburn prepared to go back to the hospital. Thing took the opportunity to get a ride and conveyed Wednesday's words to Uncle Fester. Find Augustus, and you can find Louise. Fester told the guard, I'm looking for a guy named Augustus. He won the bingo game yesterday and forgot to take the prize. The guard believed it and took Fester to find Augustus. He was sitting in a huge birdcage with a parrot lying on him. The guard asked Fester to do a favor, send Augustus back to room 103 in 10 minutes. Unexpectedly, this old man refused to speak. However, the parrot on his shoulder kept chattering non-stop.
Lois?
Shut your pie hole!
Excuse me?
Eat shit, Baldy!
In the end, the parrot couldn't stand the electric shock, and kept repeating a string of numbers, 51971. 10 minutes later, Fester pushed Augustus back to his room. He met Marilyn on the way. That woman recognized Fester's identity at a glance, but the latter didn't pay attention, because Augustus suddenly pointed at a door and kept saying Louise. The door had maintenance no entry written on it. Fester planned to sneak in to find Louise. Little did he know that Marilyn turned around and revealed his true identity to Dr. Fairburn. Fairburn hated it most when others played tricks in Willow Hill, so he locked Fester up with the Slitherer. At the same time, Wednesday went to ask the professor about Augustus. she learned that he had a young daughter. He had even built a birdhouse for his daughter in Iago Tower before. This was indeed useful information. Then Thing ran back and told Wednesday about Fester being captured. Wednesday told him to go back to Willow Hill Asylum to keep an eye on Fester. She would find a way to get her uncle out. The music teacher was going to teach at Willow Hill tonight. She planned to use this opportunity to enter and exit freely. It was known that the music teacher's class lasted 45 minutes. Thing had contacted Fester's inside man, and would find out exactly where he was being held. At that time, Agnes would be in charge of distracting the guards. Wednesday would take the opportunity to rescue Fester and then look for Louise. Enid was unhappy when she heard that. Then what am I supposed to do? Do you still regard me as a friend after all? In fact, Wednesday just didn't want her to be in danger, but to appease Enid, she had to assign her a lookout job. If Wednesday was unfortunately caught, Enid could report anonymously to the sheriff. Everything went according to plan that night. Agnes blasted the guardroom's toilet and attracted everyone's attention. Meanwhile, Wednesday, who was hiding in the teacher's trunk, sneaked into the psychiatric hospital, and successfully made contact with Ruiz, Fester's contact and lover. Wednesday hid in her work vehicle to enter the restricted area, and also stole a guard's ID card. She acted quickly and freed her uncle, but she didn't lock the door when leaving, causing the Slitherer to also break free from its chains and escape from the cell. He pounced on the guard who was escorting patients. Marilyn escaped in the chaos, and even met Wednesday on the way. The two exchanged a glance and went about their own business. Soon, the alarm interrupted the concert at Willow Hill. Fairburn immediately implemented the Level 4 security protocol, ordering the guards to subdue the Slitherer at all costs. At the same time, Fester and Wednesday came to that locked room. It turned out that the number the parrot had said was the password for the electronic lock. However, the room was empty except for a few cabinets. There were obvious scratches on the floor. Wednesday moved the filing cabinet aside and entered the dark room behind it. On the wall was written Long-Term Outcast Integration Research. This was presumably the project Louise was in charge of. Down the stairs were several locked secret rooms, each holding different outcasts. They were all falsely reported as dead, and their ashes were faked. Their real bodies were actually locked in this basement, forced to undergo various live experiments. Galpin must have been worried that Tyler would encounter such a thing, which was why he and Carl conducted an in-depth investigation into Willow Hill. At this moment, the cloaked figure chased to the basement and finally revealed her true identity. She was actually the administrator of Willow Hill. From their conversation, it was learned that the administrator was actually Augustus' daughter Louise. She recruited Dr. Fairburn to act as the public face of the institution. In fact, she was the real person in power. Louise and her father conducted this secret research to transfer the superpowers of outcasts to ordinary people. Moreover, after so long of research, the father and daughter had achieved some results, which was why Louise could command crows. However, Augustus was too greedy. The power he wanted was unbearable for ordinary people's bodies. He lost his sanity and became increasingly insane. Wednesday didn't want to say more and signaled Fester to release lightning. The electrical circuits in Willow Hill failed instantly. All the electronic doors in the basement became ineffective. The imprisoned outcasts swarmed out and pounced on Louise. Only a thin woman huddled in the corner. For some reason, Wednesday cared about this patient and took her along when leaving. At this time, the entire psychiatric hospital was in complete chaos. Marilyn took the opportunity to find the key to release Tyler. Filled with hatred, Tyler transformed into an alien on the spot, and killed Marilyn with his own hands. All the patients in Willow Hill escaped from their wards. The Slitherer even broke into Dr. Fairburn's office for a feast. It successively mauled the doctor and Augustus to death. Wednesday escaped with the mysterious woman. Unexpectedly, she met Tyler on the way. She told the woman to leave first and stayed to deal with him. The next second, Wednesday was thrown out of the window, while Tyler ran into the forest under the police siege. The above is the story of episodes 1 to 4 of Wednesday. For those who are interested in this drama, don't forget to like, save and follow. Check the update news in time. Your encouragement is the motivation for us to update.